Good afternoon, welcome to Teleislas News. Yesterday, the President of the Republic, Gustavo Petro, visited the archipelago. Upon his arrival in Providence, the President toured the infrastructure that integrates the reconstruction and questioned the cost of the housing and the high cost of living of the islanders in the municipality.
At the end of his working visit to the archipelago, the head of state commented that when he asked the people in charge of this process the reason for the high cost of the houses, the answer was the increase were due to the value of the transfer of concrete, cement, and steel from Cartagena. However, he assured that part of this cost was assumed by the National Navy itself, which helped in the transfer from the port of Cartagena to the island of Providence. Therefore, it is not justified that the houses have a value of 600 million pesos.
La primera sorpresa que tuve, y creo que de ahí se podría...
The first surprise I had, and let's say that from there you could start the analysis of our kind's economic, anthropological, and ethnic, is the average value of each housing solution that has been delivered to the community. In total, there are a little over 1,000 between new and refurbished, but the average cost of these homes is 600 million pesos. There are buildings of approximately 60 square meters that gives almost 10 million pesos per square meter. Then why such a surprising value? How can a concrete house with zinc tiles in Providence be worth 600 million pesos?
Similarly, according to President Petro, the reconstruction process did not take into account the racial population of their architectural culture based on the wood. The president said that his construction was basically an imposition, which has consequences that at first glance are not noticeable.
La reconstrucción fue básicamente una imposición.
The reconstruction was basically an imposition and has consequences that any tourist would not see in a colorful house but would have to go deep to know them. To make a basically Bogota architecture based on concrete and steel had to bring a workforce of hundreds of foreign workers. Many are still there that caused an economic blow perhaps more destructive than a hurricane, because today an egg on the island is worth 1,000 pesos.
For President Gustavo Petro, there is deep economic distress on the island because everything is imported and serious food security since there is hunger. The reconstruction raised the prices of products. Finally, the president pointed out that by using the labor force of the island with its cultural knowledge and its carpenters, the same houses could have been built 3 times cheaper.
And after his visit to the department, the Commander-in-Chief made known the commitments and tasks he will assume. In addition, he spoke about the embassies in the Caribbean for the racial population.
Among the president's commitments are to continue the housing construction plan, include the racial population in the Caribbean embassies, and prioritize the construction of the hospital in the municipality.
At the end, we had a meeting with the racial authority and with different youth, community, and racial organizations in the Camp for Dignity, and we built what will be the end of this reconstruction process, varying the objectives. There are still between 100 to 200 houses to be built. Our intention is that this housing program is done under the criteria of the traditional architecture of the island and with the labor force of the island, since this is how it has been done traditionally. Secondly, the strengthening of the island's economy in at least 2 fronts. One, through the fishing cooperative. Fishing should be a capacity of the racial population, and that implies that the unity of the Anglophobic peoples of the Caribbean, in which San Andres and Providence are located, should be cemented on the Caribbean Sea.
Gustavo Petro affirmed this Sunday in Providence that Colombia must appoint ambassadors and consuls from the archipelago to strengthen the Colombian influence in the Caribbean and make the importance of the country's geographical position a reality. He recalled that in his inaugural speech of August 7, he announced that Colombia will have racial ambassadors in the Caribbean countries in order to build a confederation of people, first of all English-speaking. These names will be announced after a meeting with the racial authority. The president will also prioritize the construction of the hospital in Providence and announce that there will be a crash plan to guarantee drinking water in the municipality.
Strengthen commercial, diplomatic, and cultural relations through agreements with the Caribbean neighbors has been the dream of many Raizals in our archipelago. And while this idea has reached the president of the Republic, who contemplates the construction of a cross-border agreement that would be called Great Seafloor.
During his visit to the archipelago of San Andres, Providence, and Queclina, President Gustavo Petro indicated that within his government plan for the island is contemplated the construction by agreement of the Great Seafloor in alliance between Caribbean countries to achieve a transborder biosphere reserve to ensure the care of the environment, a task that will be charged, according to his words, by the ambassador appointed for the Caribbean.
Uno de los temas fundamentales es la
One of the fundamental issues is the construction of treaties between the countries that are responsible for one of the most important biospheres on the planet, which is the seafloor, the coral reserves, the food pantry from a maritime perspective. This activity of our ambassadors of the Caribbean has as its axis the defense of this biosphere reserve decreed by the United Nations.
Foreign Minister Álvaro Leiva indicated that within the Great Seafloor, the aim is to contribute to the reconstruction of the Raizal people.
Que es la reconstrucción de este pueblo.
It is the reconstruction of this town that has English and Protestant roots, that has lived from the sea, and that naturally forms a unity from Belize all the way down, including with Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama, passing through these towns to Jamaica itself. It is a fundamental identity that is not only fishing but economic, and that has a tradition since the 1600s. There are human relations from first cousins. It is impressive what we have found today.
Finally, the Minister of Education, Alejandro Gaviria, stated that the national government will seek to increase the quality of basic and secondary education, as well as increase opportunities for higher education, as is currently contemplated the possibility of establishing an agreement between the National University and University of West Indies in Jamaica that will benefit the country.
After his arrival to the department, one of the visits made by President Gustavo Petro was to the departmental hospital, where the Minister of Health spoke about the plans they have for the medical center.
Yesterday, President Gustavo Petro, together with the Minister of Health, Carolina Corcho, visited and inspected the departmental hospital, where the high official referred to the importance of raising the hospital to a higher level.
El hospital en el cual nos encontramos.
From the hospital's point of view, we are moving forward with the Health Secretariat in the preventive care model, which the President spoke about. We are going to start in the coming months with 6 interdisciplinary medical teams with 70 professionals from different areas, health managers who will participate from the 2 health centers that are linked to the hospital, with a coverage of more than 90%.
According to the Minister of Health, this projection will be accompanied by a review team to verify the level of specialists required, to the extent that the hospital needs other levels of complexity in order to be able to project in Central America.
And today, a registration unit was set up at the ESA Departmental Hospital of San Andres, Providence, and Santa Catalina in order to save time for parents who are receiving their newborn child.
Today, the first 2 newborns were registered at the departmental hospital due to the opening of the office where the civil birth registration process is carried out. This was announced by the director of the departmental ESE, Maria Bracho.
I want to share that today we started with the registrar's office system here at the hospital, thanks to those who provided us the technological support so that mothers who come to the institution to have their babies can count on this service and leave with their baby registered.
Parents will receive the first copy of the document free of charge by obtaining the birth certificate. Children born in the departmental state social enterprise will have access to the mechanism to guarantee their protections against violence, health care, the right to education, and access to justice.
For the National Registrar, this is a very important fact in the department. Also for us, the departmental delegation. This service was provided in 2017, but as a result of the change of name of the hospital, said agreement had been terminated. But with support from the hospital manager, this service was reactivated for the community. This is a great achievement.
However, there are specific issues where it will be necessary to go directly to the National Registry Office.
There are some registrations that are going to be issued at the registrar's office because there are very special cases, such as those schools where mothers want their child to carry their first surname.
One of the two fathers who managed to register the newborn baby at the hospital today say that this makes the process easier and save them time.
I think it's perfect because you don't have to do any more errands since you can sort things out right there.
6,000 grams of marijuana were found by the National Police, guided by the canine and biosensor specialized in narcotics detection. The illegal plant substance was camouflaged inside 24 bags of dog food. The seizure was made in the cargo warehouses of the island during the controls carried out by the anti-narcotics police in the department. We will expand on this information in our central broadcast of Teleislas News. And now let's get to know other facts that today are making news in our brief news section.
The Providence team of the Coralina Environmental Corporation, together with Mas Bosques, under the agreement 004-2021, conducted the massive planting activity in the prepared area where all the species were moved to be located by size. The technicians wrote down the coordinates and names of each species. En the company of the Grupo Juvenil Ambiental Amigos de la Naturaleza, the Fundación Animalista, Animal Heart and the Environmental Protection Group of the National Police conducted welfare activities for domestic species in street conditions. The entity visited various neighborhoods of San Andres, providing food to all canines in need of support, care and protection, raising awareness in the community about the responsible care of pets. The group of Carabineros of the National Police conducted an ecological walk and talks about the care of the Biosphere Reserve Seafloor. During the activity, they planted red mangroves in the facilities of the Regional Park Old Point.
And this is all for now. We see you tonight at 8 p.m. in our central broadcast of Teleislas News. Good afternoon.